"Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And that's how Jesus calls his first disciples, and how they respond almost immediately. Just in 2 verses. The fishermen, the 4 fishermen, dropped everything and they followed Jesus on the basis of his 2-word command: "Follow me." They leave their livelihood for life. They leave their sustenance and support systems to follow this man, whom they still got to know about. Or maybe they left their mundane for a new encounter or an adventure. Mark writes like he's on a hop. He seems to write as if he's in one big hurry. No unnecessary adjectives, no flowery language, but just to the point. And he shows Jesus always on the move. As soon as, he says, or immediately. Almost all the time, it's immediately. And the word immediately occurs about 27 times in Mark's Gospel. And given the manner in which it is written, no wonder that when Jesus gives a command, the 4 fishermen respond immediately. They also know the urgency. For some of us, if we had that call, we will need a little bit more detail. We will need to have a full contract. We may need to find a kind of memorandum of understanding and sign it, or have some strategic plan put in place. You know, you can't just call me and say that you need me to do this. I know that we try to find a rector, and I'm sure a lot of that stuff is all part of the way to say what kind of church we are, what kind of person we need. And so, what really motivated the fishermen? How could they really drop everything just to follow? How could they leave the known for the unknown? Leave the mundane for the spiritual or the heavenly? Maybe Simon was bored that day. Business was bad, he couldn't catch much fish. He was in a mundane career. The nets had been coming up empty. The wind was too strong to go out far from shore. And so why not just leave the nets and follow this man who seemed to need him for something or had something to offer? Maybe James never really felt like he was cut out for fishing. He probably didn't quite fit in this family business. And so he tells his father, I'm going to follow this man. He may have come of age to down his tools and really say to his father boldly that maybe he needs to carve his own path, maybe he has to find his own niche, to leave the ordinary for the extraordinary. This Jesus who is calling him to follow may have an answer. Because Jesus does have an answer. Actually, Jesus is the answer. And the other youngster, Andrew, maybe he saw something in Jesus' face when he spoke that intrigued him. It could be an adventure that is worthwhile. He could have seen some kind of excitement, something away from the normal slog that they had to go through. Something that is out of this world. And the gospel writer doesn't tell us what these emotions are. He doesn't tell us what the feelings are. He doesn't give us all the reasons why they responded in the way that they responded. What matters is that Jesus said, follow me. And that's what they did. They followed Jesus. We wish there was more to understand of the motive. We would like to understand why would they want to take this risk? What was so exciting or impelling that caused them to want to follow Jesus? Why did they want to move from the normal security to something that is unpredictable, this unknown future? to follow this man who they hardly knew? We don't quite know. But then because Mark doesn't tell us we have to entertain the possibility that Jesus was this wonderful person or something like that. He doesn't give us all the facts. We are here without facts. And all we know is that Jesus says, follow me. And that's enough. Follow me. And Jesus calls us also out of the ordinary into the extraordinary. Jesus calls us out of our mundane life into a life that is so spiritual, so heavenly. Something that is also out of this world. Are you ready to follow him? And so whether we think that Jesus is calling us to undertake even just one task, become more like him in one small way, to give up one ordinary habit, to do something that he wants us to do, let alone if following Jesus might mean making large sacrifices, large changes, life-altering plans, it's hard for us to conceive of the possibility of following on the basis of a simple command of follow me. We are responsible people, we say. We must make well-thought-out decisions. Many of you may have started this new year with decisions that you may have already pondered over last year. You may have gone into new jobs and new careers. You may have gone into new study. We can't rush into things. We can't afford to change direction of our lives merely on the basis of a very vague proposal of follow me, just because Jesus tells us to. It would be much easier if we had a different job that could allow us to follow him. It would be much easier if we were at a different age, which would give us the liberty to follow him. Maybe it would be much easier if our marital status was changed, we weren't married and made single or something like that. We don't have any responsibilities, don't have any children or guardians to care about. Maybe if we had a different income where we can have the privilege of just leaving things and investing in something and then follow Jesus. Aren't these some of the questions or some of the things that we think about when Jesus says, follow me in the life of the church, in the life of his kingdom? Discerning the call to follow can be tricky, because part of what we try to figure out is, why is Jesus calling us? Why do we have to come out of the ordinary, out of the mundane? Jesus told those fishermen, I will make you fish for people. He didn't say, I really need accountants, and so therefore this is where you're going to fit. He didn't say that I need a qualified person to take this role or that role. Because you see, Jesus doesn't call the qualified, but he qualifies the called. It may be that he's saying to you, wherever you may be, I really need you to follow me in your occupation. I really need you to follow me in your marriage or in your family life. I really need you to conform your family life to the way that allows you to follow me. I really need you, with all your talents, to come and help us to enrich this kingdom of God. I want you to follow me, wherever you may be. Come out of your comfort zone, out of your mundane life, out of your low-risk life. Come out of that. Come out of the church building and follow me. Follow me in the church that is lively and well. And Evangelist John Ravlik said, the church is never a place, but always a people. Never a fold, but always a flock. Never a sacred building, but always a believing assembly. The church is you who pray, not where you pray. A structure or brick or marble can no more be the church then your clothes, of whatever material it is made of, be you. Jesus calls us to be the church outside of the building, without the paraphernalia, without the status. Follow me as an assembled people gathered in spirit and in truth. Follow me as a priesthood of all believers. And Mark seems to be saying this is how one follows Jesus, without all the details, without taking time to consider all the options, without thinking about a roof over your head, without having a roadmap, beyond a step-by-step guide. Jesus is calling us from the mundane and from the ordinary to do church in the most exciting and spiritual way. We must follow and use our spirit-led discretion on how we can truly be church, beyond church. Today's gospel story is about a decisive moment in the lives of 4 fishermen, when Jesus called them to follow and they said yes. But even after they said yes, they had to keep on listening because they faltered along the way. And Jesus kept calling them from one level to the next and to the next. And the same with us. We are called again and again to follow, to put aside what's occupying us that becomes worldly, because sometimes we get into our comfort zone after we've been called, and that's where we want to be. We don't want to go any further. We don't want to take any more risks. We don't want to have any more adventures. We are done with adventures now. Let's go for the low risk, and let's just be comfortable. And the life of the kingdom dies with our comfortableness. And since it's Jesus who is calling us, whether it's to go halfway around the world or to do one thing or something else for Him, we may need to let go, because Jesus doesn't lead us astray. Jesus doesn't abandon us. He will not take us where He cannot meet us. And all these things make our willingness to follow not just about risk, but about promise, because He promises to be with us at all times. Today Jesus says to each one of us, follow me in faith and not fear. Follow me to be made fishers of people. Follow me to do good and to be the church in the marketplace. Jesus says, follow me and leave behind the mundane for the supernatural. Leave behind the ordinary for the extraordinary. Take the risk for a better hope and a sure promise. It will be a great adventure. And what is your response? Will you follow? Or will you say, I will follow Jesus? So